Hey, sports fans, PBZ Sportscast. PB, it's March 1, which means we just wrapped up February. Let's talk about February for one quick second. We had the Australian Open. Carlos Alcaraz won again. I think it now makes him a career Grand Slam winner, if I'm not mistaken. Your favorite event, the left turn invitational Daytona 500. You watched that this year. You said it was a great event, correct?
Yes.
I cannot remember who won. It was an outsider, correct?
Dude, I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
There you go. Then we had the Super Bowl, which unfortunately, the little Pats were there. It was a little bit of snooze fest, as we talked about. Drake May did not look great. Actually, I thought he sucked, quite frankly. Offensive line was horrible. Also, FYI, it beat the Patriots, the all-time losingest team in Super Bowl history. They're now 6-6. That's not a good thing, but at least they have 6 wins, all-time record of that. With the NBA All-Star game, I know they tweaked it. I'm not sure I was a fan of that either. What do you think?
Nope.
Nope. All right.
Not a fan at all.
And then what we had was the Olympics. It started out badly with Lindsey Vonn with a horrible, horrible crash after she tore her ACL. And then she had that horrible crash. She had to get airlifted out of there. But it was really golden, quote, quote, quote. After that, when the U.S. women won with a golden goal. I'm not familiar with that term. It's the first time I think I ever heard that term, the golden goal. When you scored a winning goal in overtime.
They use it in soccer a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that was the women's event. And then against Canada. And then the same thing happened. Jack Hughes does the same thing in the men's game. Golden goal once again. So America won both events in the Olympics in hockey. By the way, which was better, you think?
The men. I mean, it
I'm
has to be.
going to give that. I'm going to give you that because Americans women were expected to win, I believe. So I'll give you that. All right. So let's keep it on the hockey theme. We run into the stretch run right now. The NHL. You got Tampa Bay. You got Carolina as the East leaders in their conference or divisions. You've got Colorado and Vegas as their division leaders in the West. You've got Buffalo of all teams is in there in the mix. You got Pittsburgh, Wildcard has Montreal. Oh my God, Boston, Washington in the East, and then you've got Utah. You've got Seattle. You got Nashville in the West, along with strong powers in the divisions, Minnesota, and of course Edmonton. Right now, as we look at the NHL, your thoughts coming out of the East. Who do you like?
I mean, ever since I've moved to Florida, a Florida team has made the Stanley Cup.
By the way, we did not mention the Florida Panthers at all in this conversation
No,
so
we
far.
didn't. Six years straight, a Florida team has been in the Stanley Cup final. 3 years Tampa, 3 years of Florida Panthers, and I think it's going to be back in Tampa this year. I mean, Tampa looks really, really good. I've watched them play a few times this year. They're the real deal. And obviously they show
I
it
think
in the
John Cooper
standings.
doesn't bounce back. I don't think he bounces back from blowing the Olympics.
That could be true. Tampa has other Olympic players from other countries are part of that team, but
Yes.
I think when the chips are on the table and you're talking about playoffs, and I think they can make a deep run. I'm not sold on Montreal. I'm not sold on Buffalo.
No.
I think the Bruins could sneak in, but I don't know if they can get past the first round or two.
So, I mean, right now, as it looks, they're in, I think, if I'm not mistaken, based on wild card standings. But
Yeah,
so you think, though, they can't win one round?
I think they can get into. I think they can get past the. Well, what's going to happen if right now they would be playing Carolina in the first round, one of their playoff nemesis.
Yes, true.
Because they'd be the worst wild card team, so they'd play the best division winner, which right now is Carolina. Carolina has a game in hand with Tampa, though, so Tampa wins that game, they're tied, right? So it's going to be Tampa or Carolina in that first round. That's the tough part is you got to play a series where you don't have home ice, and I mean, this year, what are they on the road? The Bruins are 11 and 13 and 4, so basically 11 and 17 on the road. I mean, how can you win a series against the top-notch team in the first round with that kind of road record? I just don't see them getting out of the first round if it's Tampa or Carolina. Now, if they can sneak in and get the 3 seed, and they end up playing Buffalo and Montreal in the first round, then yes, I could
Story,
see
right? Yep,
potentially
I agree.
getting past that series. Yes.
By the way, Pittsburgh's in the mix, but Sid the Kid is out for 4 weeks because of an Olympic injury. Is that going to come back to haunt them?
Here's another team that I don't expect to get deep into the playoffs. I don't see Pittsburgh. I mean, they're going to get a first round matchup against someone like the Islanders or maybe the Capitals, and that's going to be a tough series. And then they're going to have to run into the likes of Carolina or Tampa Bay after that. So, I mean, another team I can see maybe getting out of the first round, but to me, Carolina and Tampa Bay right now are two teams that are going to probably end up playing in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay. Let's go out west where all the same usual suspects are in the running once again. Who do you see there?
Yeah, I mean, Colorado's having a fantastic year. Dallas always plays great in the playoffs, and I'm not going to count out Minnesota either. I mean,
Dallas
there's
is in a
there's
little bit
three.
of a hole right now, though, right? Isn't Dallas in a little bit of a hole? They got some. They got to jump over a couple people, right?
Well, no, they're second, and they have the second best record in the conference and the second best record in the division.
Oh,
So,
okay,
and they're plus 37 in goals. So the only team that's really better than them is Colorado.
okay.
They just happen to be in the same division as is Minnesota. So Minnesota also they're the third best team in the conference, but also the third best team in that division. So right now, Minnesota is sitting at 80 points, and Vegas, who's winning the Pacific, is only at 70 points. So the third best team in the Central is better than the best team in the Pacific. So I think it's that Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota race. And unfortunately, two of those teams are going to have to play each other in the first round. Probably Dallas and Minnesota are going to face off in the first round, which could be one of the best series of the entire
Oh, for
playoffs.
sure.
And then there you go from there. So the only team that I think could be a surprise would be Edmonton.
I was going to
You never,
say, where do you have Edmonton? Okay, there we
yeah,
go.
yeah. Edmonton's. I mean, they're third in the Pacific right now, but they could easily, make a run and end up first in that division. But either way, I think they can get out of the first round, probably out of the second round, and end up in the conference finals.
All right. I still like Vegas as I pick every year. I like my boy Jackie Eichel, high off his gold medal winning. All right, let's
Yes.
go to the NBA where we finished like we just talked about the snooze fest, the All Star game. So NBA is interesting. The West obviously is what everybody expected. Well, I don't know about that. So OKC is there. Houston's making a big run. Everybody thought they might with Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Denver's Denver with Jokic Novicic. Minnesota's Minnesota. But the surprise of surprises is San Antonio Spurs. And you and I, when Wembanyama first came in from Paris, we were like, that scrawny guy is not going to make it in the NBA like he did over in France. And he's
Yeah.
turned the league upside down. I have to forgiveness. I beg forgiveness. I'm sorry. He's a pretty damn good player. Can San Antonio, they've already beaten Oklahoma State 3 times this year.
Yeah.
Can they make a run to the finals?
I think they can. Yeah, I think they can. I think after Oklahoma City and San Antonio, you're right. To me, it's Houston. Maybe Denver gets hot.
I can't rule out Denver. Jokic
but
he's the
you
man,
can't.
right? As long as
You
he's hurt,
can't.
as long as he's
Right.
healthy.
Yeah, and then you got like the Lakers and Golden State and teams that have a little bit more of a tradition of kind of getting in through the playoffs, making
By
it
the way,
through the
I
first
see
few rounds.
nobody from
But
that division. I see no one. Lakers, Golden State, Clippers. I see none of them making an impact. One of them obviously will make it, but none of them have an impact. I think they're like swept in their first round.
yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I'm looking at it, San Antonio. Maybe Houston and Denver can kind of get into that Western Conference final, but
Don't forget,
that's
Minnesota was in the Western Conference Finals last year. They really haven't lost anybody. It's just
no.
that San Antonio has risen up and Denver's healthy this year, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they'll be cemented in that, probably that 3, 4, 5 area when it comes to the playoffs as far as seeding goes, right? So they'll have home court. They should be able to get out of the first round, but then they're going to have to go play the number one seed if they're a four, right? Probably. So,
So the West is loaded once again. The East, in my mind, only has 4 teams. It's Detroit, Boston, New York, and Cleveland. Any one of them can win at this point in time, right? There's
yeah,
no there's no one that's in the eighth seed that's going to come up and surprise like you might see in the West.
no,
So, what do you think in the East?
yeah, I agree with you. 5 through 10 right now are not going to do it, right? I mean, your five seeds Toronto. I'm not afraid of Toronto. Six is Philly. Not afraid, right? So I agree with you. The question is, this is new for Detroit. They've been very bad for a long time. What are they going to be like in the playoffs? So this is the type of team that could end up facing like a Charlotte or a Miami in the first round and actually lose. Like I could see that potentially happening, which then puts Boston right at the top of the list, right?
With
Um,
Jason
but
Tatum coming back, which I'll tell you in a minute. We'll talk about that. I have some mixed thoughts on Jason Tatum coming back.
all right, okay. Yeah, I think New York's going to be right there. I mean, I'm looking at, like you said, those are probably your top four, your top two. I mean, if we just go one, two, three, four, that means Cleveland will play Detroit and Boston will play New York in the semis, right? And then your conference finals would be a likely a Boston Detroit matchup or maybe a New York Detroit. I don't know, but I think Boston can be right there. I mean, they're playing what they need to do to win, and when they turn up the Jets, that team is unstoppable.
The Celtics have really, I thought for sure this is a team that's going to be around 500, maybe like in the play-in game after the Tatum injury. And more importantly, the five guys they got rid of from the team that was in the playoffs and the finals a year
Right.
before that.
Horford in particular, right?
Yeah.
They got
I
rid of
mean, Drew Holiday, you name it. I mean, guys are gone.
Porzingis. Porzingis.
Yeah, Porzingis. And these guys have really turned it around. I mean, you got guys coming off the bench you never heard of before. Gonzalez, the guy looks like he's from the most America's Most Wanted. Yeah, Walsh. It's unbelievable. So what I do like about them, yes, they still rely on the 3-point shot too much. They had a game a week ago where they shot like 2 from 24 out at 3-point land. They got absolutely crushed. Then they came back and they shot 63% the other night for 3-point line, 67, 63 from the 2-point line, inside the 2-point line, 81% efficiency. My concern is, does Tatum come in and does he become ball hungry Tatum and slow that team down? Because right now they seem to play with a little speed and haste. Tatum likes to walk the ball up the court. Tatum likes to hold the ball, play one-on-one. Does he potentially ruin that mix? What do you think?
I mean, he's so good, it's hard to say he would, but I can see your point. I can see your point of disrupting what's working because right now what they have is working. If you told me no Tatum all the way through the playoffs, could this team still make a run? Yeah, I can still see him in the Eastern Conference Finals. And if you end up getting home court in that Eastern Conference Finals, let's say against a New York team, because Detroit gets eliminated, why couldn't they make the finals? Right?
Maybe. What if Tatum accepts a Kevin McHale role for the rest of the season of the playoffs, meaning 6 man off the bench? If he accepted that role and played that role to the Kevin McHale level or John Havlicek back in the 60s, I think that's a different story then. Then I'm okay. But if he comes in the starting lineup, I'm afraid where he's going to be like, I'm Jason Tatum. I got to have the ball. But coming in
Yeah.
off the bench, that might be a different factor. What do you think?
Yeah, that would be an interesting way to bring him back in. I don't know if that'll actually happen, but yeah,
Well, I don't
I
think
agree.
Missoula has the. I don't think Missoula has the gonads to do that. I think he's afraid of Tatum. So we'll
Probably
see. But
not.
all right, but it'll be interesting. We'll talk more about that as that goes along. And of course, we obviously got MLB coming up. But we're going to talk about the NFL as we always like to talk about the NFL because it's NFL Combine weekend. I've only watched the quarterbacks, a little bit of the wide receivers, and the running back. And of course, I was very very impressed by what I saw from the other quarterbacks. Obviously, Mendoza didn't throw, didn't do anything at the Combine. But Ty Simpson showed a lot in his playing down there, as well as a couple other guys. Garrett Nussmeyer, who, if you remember way back in our first college preview show, I had him as a long shot for the Heisman. He didn't play well the rest of the year for LSU, but he really showed out. I thought the combine showed unbelievable arm strength, nice touch on the ball. What do you think about the quarterbacks you saw? And Carson Beck, by the way, also showed pretty well.
Yeah, yeah. Carson Beck definitely was able to throw the deep ball. But those are just, there's no coverage. You're just getting the ball down the field, right? I mean, it's so hard to tell in the combine because they're all athletes. They're all superior athletes. So they're all going to do great things. In my opinion, they go out there and they ball. But you're
Well,
not,
the only reason why guys
you
like Mendoza didn't throw is they don't want to throw to guys they don't know. So that's why I
right,
give kudos to guys that throw and complete passes to guys they don't know that are catching the ball, right? That to me,
right,
that's a good thing.
right. Right, but they're looking for raw skill set. They're looking for athleticism. that you can't tell how well you can handle pressure or how well you can read a defense in the combine. That's not what it's about, right? They're looking for
Yep.
just raw talent. So you got to translate that talent into the league. And yeah, you get into a good system with a good coach that can show up. So a guy like Carson Beck, yeah, he may end up turning into, or a Nussmeier, he might end up turning into an NFL starting quarterback someday with the right system and the right coaching. But to sit here and say this quarterback is better than this quarterback, it's just hard to tell. And that comes out too in the draft. You see the first round, you're like, oh my God, they're taking this guy? Like, where'd he come from? He's coming out of nowhere.
Right.
So it's hard to tell until they actually get into that NFL setting. That's my opinion.
By the way, a guy we haven't mentioned yet, the guy, speaking of physical skill level, the guy that was the most dominant physical skill level was the kid from Arkansas, Taylor Green, who I believe is 6'6", 230. He ran 4.36. He did his vertical. I mean, his vertical was 43, and his broad jump was 11 something. Those are unbelievable physical freaking skills. And he's a quarterback with a laser of an arm. No, he's not going to start in the NFL year one, maybe not a year two. But can you see him in the right system with the right coach, thinking like an Andy Reid, maybe potentially being like an NFL stud?
I don't know. I mean, there's guys that do that kind of stuff in combines. Look at Milton as an example. The Patriots guy, he's on the Cowboys, right? I mean, they're guys that can ball in the combine and do great physical things, but that doesn't make them a football player, right? I mean, you can take
Well, I would say this.
you
I
can,
mean, I'll just say this.
listen,
You can
Zeke,
make him a football player. You might not make him a quarterback if he's willing to accept playing another position. At 4.36 PB, 43 vertical, 11. Not many human beings are doing that at
no,
6'6".
I agree
So
with
you
you. I
can make
agree
him
with
a
you.
football player.
But I also can go to probably 100 different colleges and universities in the country right now and bring in their top track star, and they probably would crush the combine too because they're physical specimens and athletes and can do all these great things. You got to train onto the football field, and that's the thing that I'm not making any necessary predictions on at this time. I just
Not
can't.
either, but just saying, if the guy gets with the right coach and he's not expected to do anything for a couple of years, and he can sit behind someone like a Patrick Mahomes, for instance, right?
Yes, yes,
That's a
then
different
yes,
story. That's a different story.
right.
So that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to be a stud or anything, but put him in the right system, let him sit, let him learn and play behind somebody and get tutored. That's a different story. By the way, the guy that balled out, who's not going to be picked in the first 4 or 5, and because running backs are so devalued this day, Jeremiah Love, he ran
No.
4.36. He caught every friggin' pass. He looked like a wide receiver in drills. He's 212. He's solid as a rock. I think you
Yeah.
can win with Jeremiah Love. They got him slipping as far as 10 to Kansas. If he goes to Kansas City, oh my God, right?
Yeah, yeah, that'd be scary. Right. Other teams should be making defensive draft picks at that point, so
Yes,
Kansas City
yes,
doesn't get him
yes.
because that Kansas City right now, that's their weakness. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco is done. He's not the answer in terms of running backs. You get a guy like that in that system with Mahomes, and then depending on the situation with
Receiver.
Rashi Rice and you
Yeah.
got Xavier Worthy and these speedsters and everything. The team could be scary. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
agree with you there. Yeah, he looked great from a running back perspective. Hey, let's not forget about the other guy that put up all kinds of ridiculous numbers, Sonny Styles,
Yeah, you were talking
linebacker
about
out of
that. Yeah,
Ohio
tell us about what
State.
you saw.
Yeah, I mean he did an 11.2 broad jump. His vertical was off the charts. I don't know what he did in his reps, but they said that he probably was going to break the record for reps, and he's a linebacker.
Yeah.
So it just and he ran a 4.46, I think. And by the way, he's 250 pounds. So this guy he's the next Michael Parsons in this league potentially.
Now, let me ask you a question. So I hear him going anywhere from 2 to 11 to the Cowboys. I mean, why such disparity? I mean, why isn't he a solid 2, 3, or 4?
Well, need. I mean, there's just need. I mean, Mendoza's going number one overall to Oakland, to Vegas, right? That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a kind of foregone conclusion. And then after that, you got guys like, Carnell Tate, wide receiver. You got guys like, um, the
So I'll
aforementioned
say this.
Jeremiah Love.
There's a lot of wide receivers that can play in the NFL coming on this draft. You could find a wide receiver. You can't if Styles is so what he turns out is what he's supposed to be based on what
Yeah,
happened in the combine. You don't
right,
find those. That's Lawrence
right.
Taylor. When
Same,
was the last time a Lawrence Taylor came in the NFL? Miles
right,
Garrett, maybe?
exactly, right. And where was Michael Parsons drafted? 10, around 10, wasn't he?
Exactly 10, correct.
Yeah, he was drafted at 10. So here's another guy that might go at 10. Maybe he goes to the Cowboys at 11 and they do a repeat of Michael Parsons all over again, taking a linebacker out of the Big Ten. But yeah, I mean, that therein lies the mystery of the draft, right? And why so many of these analysts and predictors can't nail it, right?
Yeah, yeah. By the way, wide receiver, the kid Michaela, I forget his last name from USC. He really showed up. Apparently, I heard a lot of good kudos about him. Obviously, he went in with some high grades, but he really showed out. Ran his routes great. Look, didn't drop any balls. So that's an interesting one there. He's going to rise in the charts. We'll see. But obviously, we'll talk more about this as we get into the NFL start of the 2026 season. What, a week away, like the 11th or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
All right, my man. Nice talking to you.
Yep. Same here.